some people, you're either a graphing person or you're an algebra person. There's really, I'm more, I would say, a graphing person, only because I can visually see it. Whereas algebraic, it's just kind of like you need to know the skills. Okay, so it just depends on what type of person you are. And that's kind of how this year is going to be going. You're going to do the functions, you're going to do the graphs, and then you're going to do the algebra part. Okay, let's get started then. Oh, it's already starting. Never mind. Okay, that big yellow packet of notes. Oh, sorry, orange. Lots of stuff on that front cover to help you out throughout the chapter. When we're talking about polynomials, you're going to see like what is and what is not. We'll get more into that tomorrow. We're going to talk about this thing called synthetic division. Some of you got this wrong on the last test, but your x-intercepts, for some reason, some of you didn't know what those were. Those are right here. That's why I put them on there. And then we'll talk more about that other part. This back page of the orange sheet, so flip it over please, is super important for you because you're going to be able to use that on an exam. That back page in the orange. I told you factoring is coming back. I know that we struggle with factoring. We added a bigger unit in this class because we know from Math 2 you struggle from it because you guys didn't really spend a lot of time on factoring. So we're going to spend about 4 days on factoring in this class next week. This is going to help you. And I'll explain more about it when we get to 6.4, but this is going to be your guide. Is there 1 terms, 2 terms, 3 terms? Well, you would decide and you would go down that path. But again, we'll go to that in a second. But let's actually go to the first page, which I need to find because it's not in order for some reason. It just should be 6.1. There it is. Okay, so again, application problems. I love application problems because you can actually see where it exists in the real world and how we would use it. So, play is our work. The polynomial function, p of x, models the profit of Zorzanza, a video game company. Does anyone know if that's a real game company? Like video gamers out there? Zorzana? Sometimes they use real ones, sometimes they use imaginary ones. Nope, no gamers in here. From its original business plan through its first few years in business. Okay, so this is how their profit is for this game company. Right here. That's the graph of it. So if you were a business person, you can kind of look at that and probably assume, I kind of been doing it as we've been going these first couple of chapters, so you got used to it, but now we're actually going to apply it to real life. It's pretty cool. And they actually do this. And a lot of people have to present on graphs when it comes to business. It just went blank on me. I apologize. There it is. Come back here. Okay. Label the portions of the graph that model each of the scenarios here. The memorable events, the company's history, by writing the letter directly on the graph and explain your reasoning. So let's take a look here. Now, the first one's actually pretty hard, but the rest of them are pretty easy. Take a look at your graph. The chief executive officer is anxiously waiting for her accountant. Okay, at what point on this graph do you think that would be like the lowest point? Because now I have to meet with my accountant because I'm very nervous that we're going to go bankrupt. Tell me where to stop or if you think you know where it's at. Yeah, very good. Okay, so right here, A. If you are way below that x-axis, remember that x-axis is kind of like your break-even points right here. If you're below it, you're negative money. You're losing money. So that means that A value right there is when I probably have to meet with my accountant because now I'm hitting an all-time low. Okay, I'm hitting an all-time low. Okay, I'm going to put lowest point on the graph. Lowest point on graph. Well, it's a relative min, but we'll put that for now. We got Goofy over here. Several answers may be correct as long as you define your reasoning. So you might argue with me that it's somewhere else. That's okay. As long as you have a pretty valid reasoning, I would accept it, or a company might. Just depends on, not all of them are correct, but they could vary. All right, a highly anticipated game, Rage of Destruction Fury 2 is released. Okay, when would you feel that a new game would be released? Again, you want to think about this from a business point of view. We just talked about our lowest point. Okay? Yes?
Probably when the prices start to rise.
Yes, when the prices start to rise. If you take a look, if you're a company and you're like, this is me right now, I go and meet with my accountant, I'm so nervous, like I'm bankrupt, what can we do? Hello, you're a game company, go release a game. So it would probably be around here is when I'm going to start releasing a game so that I can make money and get out of debt. So I'm just going to put somewhere around here. Again, it's not 100% accurate, but that break-even point in some direction. So somewhere in this vicinity I would have accepted because you're trying to make money again. Okay? I'm not going to put a description. See, the company opens its doors for business for the very first time. Yes?
The near the arrow at the
Can you-
very left.
You are correct. Do you know what that is called?
The starting point?
What is this called, the starting point? In terms of math.
The y.
Thank you. The Y what?
The y-intercept.
The y-intercept. So right here. Again, this is just exploring. I'm not going to ask you to do this in the future, but you need to kind of be able to read a graph and be able to answer some of these questions. Okay? So right here is where I'm starting. That's year 0. This is years. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the profit. It tells you right here on the graph. Years, profit. Well, at 0, years is when I start a company. That's why C is right there. And then the company reaches its first short-term sale goal just as the holiday shopping season ends. Okay? So, what point do you feel, hold on, something happened. Where do you feel I would be at a pretty good point in my company around Christmas time? Yes.
Relative maximum?
Yeah, you see right here. In your company, it's the highest point. Well, that's probably going to be around Christmas, to be honest with you. I mean, who gets video games here for Christmas? I've gotten one. I've gotten a Wii one. Gosh, you guys are like, blah, today. Wake it up. I know we are missing people, but. So again, for Christmas, you can expect that more profit is going to be happening around this time. Again, just getting your brain used to what that means in real life so that when you look at these graphs, you're not just like, why the heck am I learning this? We're learning it for a reason, because if you ever go into business, you might have to read a profit graph, which is going to be similar to this. Okay? Usually they'll take all their data and they'll plot them, and then they draw in like the best fit line. Okay? That's kind of how we're doing this right now. All right, flip the page when you're ready. We only got 2 left, but they're pretty quick. And the best part about this next page, the following page, is that you've done it before. And I think you were pretty good at it from what I remember last year. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Now we're actually going to talk about the numbers instead of just trying to figure out what it is. The cubic function for that company, which we just talked about, is right here. Same exact graph. Use the graph to estimate when Zorzana's achieved profit, then explain how you determined it. So, can someone tell me where 800,000 is? When did they make $800,000? When did this company make $800,000? What do you think over there?
Around its 4th year.
Yeah, around, do you think it's a little bit more than 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more. So about right here would be about that 4 point, maybe like 5, 4.3, okay? So 4.3 years is when I made $800,000. 4.3 years. Ish. Okay? Ish. Do you have questions on that? Why that exists? Okay. $200,000. When did I make when did this company make $200,000?
6 months.
6 months-ish. I would accept that for sure. So 6 months. I would just try to keep it in terms of the situation. What is 6 months? How many years?
Only half.
Only half. So 1/2 a year. I would have for sure accepted 6 months. Just be careful, because example, like on an SAT, they would probably keep it in the same exact terms as the question. Okay, what other time did they make that much money? Around. Yes.
1.5 years.
Yeah, like 1.5-ish. probably put like 1.3 because it didn't really hit that line yet. And then there's one more. It's in, kind of helped you out in a little bit there. We already got that one. Keep going.
Four
Yeah.
quarters of
Anywhere around 4.5, 4.4, I would have accepted. Again, if you would put 4.3 or 4. I would have accepted as long as you're in that range. Okay? Here's a really, really, really good question that Cheshire is asking here from Disney. What is the max number of solutions for a given profit? Okay. So remember, your max amount of solutions depends on the type of function you have. Can anyone tell me what we just learned last chapter, what this function's called? It's not quadratic, it's cubic. And cubic is what degree polynomial? 2, 3, 4, what is it? 3. So what's the max amount of zeros I can, or profit I can have? 3. Yep. Good. Okay, good questions, or good answers. All right, I want to know when it's greater than 200,000. So I'm a business partner right now. I'm going to you guys, and I'm asking you, the company, when, at what time, and this is exactly what the interval of increase and decrease is. You know how I always ask you that question the past 2 chapters? This is what we're doing, because this is what a company might ask you. Okay, companies coming in, they're saying, when did you make more than $200,000? Again, that could be an audit that comes in. That could be anything. You need to be prepared with that. So when did you make more than $200,000? So I'm going to help you out with this first one here. Okay, so $200,000 is going to be around this mark. So I'm going to highlight because I want more than it. So I want more than that. This yellow piece right here is the only time you're greater than 200, right? Because I'm not going to, you don't have to draw this part in, but if I were to put a blue highlighter at 200, I want above it. So can anyone tell me from what year to what year is that first yellow highlighter marked? From what year? About. Again, it's not going to be perfect. Go ahead.
around a year.
Okay, around a year-ish. Would you say like this point right here is a year? Where would you think that's at? Didn't we just do it? What was this point? You guys just told me. Yeah, it was at 0.5. We already did the ones right above it, if you notice right here. So from 0.5 to where? Where do we stop? This is where you guys struggled with on the test. Where does that point stop? We already labeled it. What is it? What year? Where do we stop now? Thank you, 1.3. Very good. Welcome back. Now, one last part. From what point to infinity am I going to be making more than $200,000? Again, we already talked about it. We labeled it next to Cheshire there. 4.3, 4.4. Very good. So 4.4 to infinity. That's when we're greater than $200,000. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you a question, and we're not going to fill this part out, but I'm just going to ask you what to see if you would be able to tell me based off of this. Okay. When would the company, you can even mark this down, would the company be making profit or losing money if I was up here? Would I be making profit or would I be losing money as a company? Making profit. Very good. So I'm going to put like a little arrow or some kind of thing here saying making profit. And then down here would be what? Losing, yeah, losing money. Because if you're asked a question, when do you make profit, it's up here. When do you lose money? Down here on the graph. Just being able to get you to read a graph if I asked you to do so in a business. Okay. Do you have questions? And just for the sake of notes, in case you are asked, I'm just going to put this down, but I don't want to waste time. I just kind of want to write it down for you guys. Because you told me already. So from 0 to 0.2 years-ish. And then here would be 0.2 to 1.7. And 4.2 to infinity. Just so that you have it for your notes' sake. And then flip when you're ready. So make sure that you walk out of here with no homework. This is the last part. This is where you'll need a calculator. You guys did this before. You guys remember slope? From way back when, I'm sure it kind of rings a bell. The change in y over the change of x. It's the same exact thing. We're going to find the average rate of change of a function now. So because I don't want to really change anything for you guys, the average rate of change, I'm just going to kind of highlight that so you know. It's a ratio of the change of the y over the x. We've already done that in the past, but we're going to do it again. I'm going to change the formula because I want it to look like what you've done in the past. And I need to make sure that I do that for next year. I'm going to change this. Come on. Okay. I'm going to change this right here. You can cross it out. And let's just write it up here. The formula is the change in y. If you remember y2 minus y1, I'm going to put it in parentheses so you don't forget. All over the change in x. That was your slope formula from way back when. It's the same thing. It was different notation because we're in functions now instead of equations. But I figured why change it? Let's just keep it the same from what you remember. Yes?
So it would be kind of similar to how two gas companies would be selling oil at the exact same time without changing its prices once.
So this is going to tell you, what is the average rate that you're selling your games. So are you selling 10 computers a day? Are you selling 5 computers a day? Are you selling 1? What's your average rate of change? That's what you're going to be finding out. And we can talk about it more in that situation. So when you look here, it's always going to be the change in y. So how much profit are you going to make over X amount of years? That's what you're finding. I made $500,000 over a 2-year period. That's what average rate of change is. Okay, good question. All right, let's keep going. We only got this page left, and then you're on your own. I know it's been a long week. I'm tired. You're tired. I get it. I don't want you to get lost. So these ones are easy questions. We're just going to kind of talk about it. Explain why the average rate of change is 600,000 per year. That's what we found out here. Oh my gosh, it does that one more time. So when they did the calculation, they got $600,000 for the average rate of change. Why is it 600 per year instead of 600,000 per year instead of 600? Can anyone tell me by reading your graph? Why is it 1,000? Yes.
Because if you look in the parentheses, it says dollars.
Yeah, exactly. That's important for example, for businesses or for the SAT. Your y-axis tells you that you are in thousands. That's why. And I don't know if they did it on this SAT, but I've seen it before where they would give you the answer of 600 and then they would give you an answer of 600,000 because they want to make sure that you're reading the graph. So make sure that you're understanding that's why it's 600,000. Okay, explain why the average rate of change is positive. Okay, this one's a good one. So if you can explain this, I'm going to give you an airhead. Oh, come on. There we go. So we're going from, I just want to kind of check out here. We're going from year 4.25 to here to 3.25. So from right here to here in orange. Can anyone tell me, the question is, explain why the average rate of change is increasing. What do you think?
Because time can't go backwards.
You're correct on that, but why is the average rate of change going to be increasing? Think about your answer. We got 600 or 600,000. Why would that indicate that we are going up?
Because the company is making a profit.
They are making a profit, but what about the answer that you got makes that true? Again, it's a hard question. That's why you're going to get an airhead if you get it. Think about it. I'm going up. I'm increasing. What kind of answer do you get? Yes. Got it. Okay. You get a positive answer. So look, here in pink, this is 600. If you get a positive number, you should be increasing. This is a great way for you to know if you got it right on the test. If you have a positive number, you should be increasing right here. Let's just say I got -5. I should be like going down like that in green. It's a wonderful way for you to check to see if you did it correctly. If you got a positive number, you should be increasing. If you got a negative number, you should be decreasing. It's a great part about it. Okay? And when you're positive, you're making profit. And when you are negative, you are losing money. Okay, we're almost there. Because the graph is increasing. Oh, I think I asked you the reverse question. I asked you, we're increasing, so what's the number? Wow, my brain. Okay, now, what does the average rate of change represent in this problem situation? Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. I am telling you that we made $600,000. From what year to what year did we do that? Look at your example. From what year to what year did I make $600,000? From what year to what year? What numbers did we plug in? Up here in blue. Yeah.
Wasn't it 3.25?
Yeah. Good. 3.25 to 4.25 is when I'm going to be making profit in a situation. I'm going to put make profit. And to be specific, I made $600,000. Now we're actually going to do a problem, and we're going to call it a day. We'll still have a good 15 minutes to do your homework. Now we're actually, so this is like the goal right now, is this part, like this skill. Okay, understanding the graph is definitely crucial and important. And some of the questions on the homework might ask you that, to tell me about some things. But this is what I want you to be able to do. Determine the average rate of change from Zorzana's profit, which is still that company for the gaming, from 1 to 3 years. So 1 to 3 years, are those X's or Y's if they're years? 1 to 3 years. They're your X's. Okay? When I give you an interval, I know we're really used to going like this, X, Y. But not in this situation. I'm telling you from time, 1 year to 3 years. So this is going to be my X1, and this is going to be my X2. And that should make sense because, again, if I give you like 500, you'd assume it'd probably be Y. But I don't even have 500 on my graph, so I shouldn't even be doing profit. Now, I have X1, I have X2. I'm going to write out my formula so that I don't forget. I have the bottom numbers, so I'm going to plug them in. I'm going to plug in my orange one here, and I'm going to plug in my pink one just so that I can get that out of the way. So I'm going to plug in my 3 minus 1 on the bottom. How do you think I'm going to find my Y? How do you think I'm going to find my Y1 and my Y2? How would you find that? If I know the X, how can I find the Y? Yeah.
By looking for X on
Yeah, look at the graph. So my first one here is 3, right? I'm going to go find 3 on the graph. Here we go. I'm scrolling up, scrolling up. Here's 3 in blue. How much profit, or I guess not profit, would you say this company made? Yeah. If it was the going up, I'd say yes, but go down because you're decreasing. So 400, what's between 400 and 800?
Negative 600?
Yes, negative 600. So this is going to be your negative 200, so just be careful on that. So this is going to be negative 600 minus something. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to my 1. Look, now I'm at 1. I wanna go back to my graph and find it. So I'm gonna go up to 1, scrolling. I'm gonna go in purple here. Here's 1. Here's 1. What do you think that number is about?
300.
300. So we're gonna do 300 there. Get out your handy dandy calculator. Let me know what you get.
And you get 900.
I would try that again.
Oh wait, we're doing the whole problem?
The whole thing. So now you want to type that whole thing in your calculator. Parentheses, negative 600 minus 300. Close it up. Divided by, parentheses, 3.
Negative 450.
Good. But I want everyone to try it. So I'll give you a minute, 30 seconds to give it a go. Because sometimes this could be tough typing it in the calculator alone. Now, is it just negative 450?
So,
What is it?
negative 450.
Very good. Now, Edward can't answer this question because he's getting an airhead already. Can someone tell me for an airhead why it makes sense that we got the answer of negative 450?
Because negative 600 and negative 300 would make negative 900, and then.
I totally get that, but I mean on the graph. What tells me on the graph that I should be getting a negative number? Because from the purple to the blue, what tells me that? Because I'm going down really good. So because I'm decreasing, you should have got a negative number. So in your head when you do these problems, please check your answer in a way. Like, hey, I'm going down. I should be getting a negative number. If I'm not, something went wrong. Okay? Cool. You're doing odds. Again, those problems, it's a bigger packet because they have graphs. Now remember, yes, there's words, okay? But just read it. It's actually a pretty easy question. So you just have to read the question. Just like the SAT, you notice a lot of them were word problems. Okay, that's kind of getting you practice. You just have odds today. The first page is just average rate of change, which we just did the last 30 seconds of class. You can answer your question. Maybe next time though, right? The baby ones. Pick one.
Did you get the mystery one?
I don't know if there's any mysteries in there. You guys didn't pick the best ones. Yeah, the green's my favorite. Yeah, the watermelon. So the one that we just did in class is the one that is on the first page of your homework. Right here. This guy. Is your first page. Change in y over change of x. Remember the interval I give you goes on the bottom. I'm always going to give you the interval. Now you're trying to ask questions. You got a while. You got like 10 minutes. If you want to work with someone, you're more than welcome to.